Okay, so welcome, beautiful ladies, and the one man that I can see that's on the call. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are presenting our third in a series. This is the Foodie and the Naturopath. I'm the Naturopath part. My name's Noreen Macdonald, and I'm tuning in from Nelson in New Zealand. And the Foodie part of the Foodie and the Naturopath is my beautiful old friend, Natalie Baldock, who is a whole food coach. We just decided that it was time to join forces. We've known each other since high school, since we were 13. Geez, that's going a long way back. We're like 42 now and still having fun. And we just thought, what a good idea to put together little half-an-hour talks where we can hopefully add some value to people. So tonight's talk is obviously about the female bits. And we're going to have a bit of fun with it because why not? We all know what it's like to be female. We all know that shit can happen and that being a female comes with its own source of greatness and power and beauty, but it also can sometimes come with the hormones. So we're going to talk about that tonight and hopefully add some value to you beautiful ladies and maybe give you some ideas. Nat's going to talk about sort of her journey because she's had quite a journey with her female bits. And then I'm going to talk at the end of the call from a naturopath perspective, from my perspective, to be honest, about what sort of things I see in clinic and the things that I have been able to help people with and how. So I'm going to flick it over to Nat and she is going to talk a bit about female bits. So just to introduce Nat, look, she's one of my oldest and dearest friends. We have a lot of fun on these calls, but we also have a lot of information, so we like to balance things out. Nat is a really wonderful speaker. She has a ton of knowledge behind her in the realm of whole foods. She's passionate. She's spoken worldwide. We're very lucky to have her on this call tonight, and I'm going to pass it over to you, Natty.
Oh, thanks. Do you know what? I have to be really vulnerable with everybody. I didn't actually promote this on my personal page because I thought, oh my God, what are all the school mums going to think? But anyway, I just thought, do you know what? It's really good. We're all on the same page here so we can talk about this quite openly. But has anyone, just a really quick show of hands, anyone that actually has got the screen up, and please comment on the feed. There's a little chat button down the bottom. You're more than welcome to add something here. Has anyone ever had urinary tract infections, cystitis, thrush, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, irregular periods, painful periods, hormonal issues, anxiety disorder or depression? See, any of those, and lethargy. Lethargy is the big indicator initially that something's not right downstairs. And I always thought that I was overtraining and I was just exhausted. I thought me being a swimmer, ever since I was, 11, 12 years old and getting up at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and swimming until 7 and then getting to school and eating a really unhealthy breakfast, which I seemingly thought was so healthy at the time, I thought that was just the precursor to being a teenager. And this went on and on and on and on and on until all of a sudden I became a woman and my cycle was whipped out of control. Athletes don't usually get their periods until they're about 16, 17, sometimes even 18. I was one of those girls, so my system was out of whack. I was completely exhausted. And then after I did get my period, they were very heavy, extremely heavy, like 7, 8, 9, 10 days. And then it felt like it would just whip around again. And I would be bedridden for 1 or 2 days. They were very, very painful. I was always taking painkillers. And then I got a lot of infections. Now, the infections were put down to, being a swimmer and having on nylon bathers every day and thinking, gosh, I'm just getting these infections because I'm in bathers for half the day, every single day, and I'm not breathing. So although this is quite graphic, I think it's something that is going to really sit with a lot of people or a lot of your clients, and you're going to be able to really help them. But I had a very strong addiction to carbohydrates. Now, that was because I thought carbohydrates was the number one form of energy. Now, I'm not talking about plant-based carbohydrates as in fruits and vegetables. I'm talking about carbohydrates as in bread, pasta, and rice. And my diet was thick with it. So, I'd have cornflakes for breakfast, 6 pieces of Vegemite toast. I would have toasted sandwiches at school. After school, I'd have 2 packets of 2-minute noodles. At nighttime, I'd have bread with my dinner. And even though my dinner was seemingly healthy, I just wasn't ever nourished. So I was starving all the time, eating a lot of yeasty foods, a lot of sugar-laden foods, a lot of heavy carbohydrate, stodgy, foods that don't digest very well. This went on for years and years and years until one day I was 26 years old and I'd had irregular periods, I'd had painful periods, I'd had hormonal issues, depression, anxiety, very painful periods where the doctors thought I had endometriosis, polycystic interruptions. I have a little tattoo on my tummy where I got some cysts removed from my ovary. From one of my ovaries, and this was just ongoing, and I thought it was me. I just thought I was, every time I went to the doctor, every time I went to the specialist, we were treating symptom after symptom after symptom after symptom. Nobody told me what the underlying precursor was. And the real shift came when I went to a naturopath and she said, "Have you heard of Candida?" I said, "No." She said, "It's a yeast infection that starts in the gut, makes its way through the body into the bloodstream to the brain, makes you super foggy, very, very anxious, sometimes anxiety disorder, sometimes depression. Your metabolism is sluggish. You're always looking for heightened energy, so you crave sugared carbohydrates. And this is a cycle. It's like the Candida controls you." And I just thought, oh, wow, this is nuts. What do I do? And she said, "Well, you have to go on a Candida diet." Well, that was the most difficult thing I've ever done. I stuck to it for about 4 days, I think, and then just gave up. To be completely honest, I think I tried over and over again for 6 months just to stay on that diet and found it really tricky. But it wasn't until I realised I needed to make a huge shift. I decided to try a plant-based diet. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but I decided veganism was my way of getting into a plant-based arena. And I started to eat tons and tons and tons and tons of plants and started to feel better. And this was a huge shift. I also started to do yoga, meditation. I started to work on my own self-worth. At the time, I was studying Louise Hay, and I was reading a book called You Can Heal Your Life. And I saw that this systemic inflammation that was happening in this area, being a woman, was all about boundaries. And I didn't have clear boundaries. And these unclear boundaries actually caused a lot of guilt and pain and emotions in this area. So I had to work on my emotional state. I had to work on my nutritional state. I had to work on my physical state. And it was really, really hard. But it took 7 years and I became Candida free. Now, who here would like to spend the next 7 years trying to cure themselves of something, or who here would like to know the fastest road to healing today? Put a hand up. So 7 years after that, I was introduced to whole food concentrates and superfood formulas. And I learned how to put so much nutrition in my body. It was almost like bombing my body with so much nutrition and none of the sugar, that my body started to work for me instead of just trailing behind. So a lot of people will try so hard with their diet alone to try to change and shift things. But the trick is to understand that you need tons of whole food concentrates in the diet, whole food fats, whole food concentrates as in powdered concentrates for your immune health, and you also need a whole food probiotic or prebiotic or protein. And so I learned really quickly that plating up and putting food on a plate and making it 90% plant-based 90% of the time was actually the formula for success. So I wrote a little book called How to Plate Up, and I taught people what are the best forms of protein, what are the best forms of plants that are low in sugar and high in nutrition, and what are the best forms of plant-based fats and fish fats that are excellent for your brain health, circulatory health, immune health, every type of health. So this little book came off the back of being very sick and not understanding how to eat. Now, my diet is now almost 99.9% gluten and wheat free. I'm not really a sugar fiend anymore. I don't crave it at all. I feel very calm. And I don't drink a lot of dairy. I may have a little tiny bit of white cheeses, but my diet is just rich with plants, juices, smoothies, salads, vegetable curries, bone broths with tons of vegetables in it. And really, veggies heals your vagina. To be honest, it's ridiculous. I have a show in Perth called Veggies and Vaginas, and I teach people that the more salty plant-based nutrition you can get in your diet, so lots of leafy greens, lots of root vegetables, lots of lemons, limes, your citrus fruit, bar oranges, lots of garlics, lots of onion, lots and lots and lots of bone broth and fermented vegetables and good quality fats and excellent sources of A-grade protein. This will help you completely change and revolutionize everything. So just quickly, my routine for anybody that wants to tidy up this area is wake up 2 big glasses of water, and I take a whole food concentrate called Juice Plus, which Noreen will talk about, something that we're very, very passionate about. Second step is to go and exercise, breathe, get in the ocean, come home, then make a smoothie. My smoothie has good fats in it. It has my pre and probiotic formula in it. It's called Juice Plus Complete. And my fat that I take is udos oil in my smoothie, but I take my omega blends as well. So I take whole food concentrate Juice Plus the omega blends plus my Juice Plus Complete. And this has been my formula for success, to start my day on high volumes of nutrition. And then from that moment forward, my body is cycling with me, and it's keeping the nutrition higher than the actual need for the disease. So I'm always working faster and harder, in that way. So I'm getting more nutrition in, and the disease simply can't live. The yeast can't live when it's bombed with so much nutrition and the cells are rich and alive and feeling so good. And then the rest of the day is just a beautiful salad and a bone broth veggie soup. At night time, I'll snack on avocados, snack on apples. If I need something naughty ever, maybe a raw protein ball or something like this. So as most of you may be aware, because you've been on a call like this before, this isn't just about supplementation, this call. This is about the activity that you need to do to have a whole and complete life. So the reason why I talk about food, and Noreen comes from a naturopathy and food perspective, is that really we want everyone to have a great life and really understand that holistic approach needs to happen each and every single day for you to be well. So I'm going to pass it over to Noreen now, and she's just going to fill you in on what actually happens at the naturopathy level when someone comes into her clinic with something like Candida that presents as all these conditions in women.
Hi, thanks Nat, that was awesome. So if any of you lovelies were on our last talk, which was about gut health, or the last one was anxiety and depression, the one before was gut health, what you're going to start to notice is we might sound like we're just repeating ourselves. And there's a really important reason for that, because I don't believe, and neither does Nat, believe that health is something that you can't get. We totally 100% believe with the right ingredients in your daily routine that you can start to change your health. And women's issues are no different than that, to be totally honest. So, what Nat said, I'm probably going to reiterate a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit more into what women's health is about. So for those of you that I haven't met before, hello. My name's Noreen Macdonald. I've been working as a naturopath for the last 20 years. And most recently, a couple of years ago, I started studying bioresonance therapy, which is using a machine from Germany. Very good for testing for the presence of strains and stresses in the body. And I also use a lot of kinesiology and muscle testing. So let's talk about women's bits. Let's talk about the endocrine system. Okay, our body, our female body, and men's bodies too, but we're going to talk about the female body today, is superbly amazing. So first of all, if you've got issues with anything to do with your women's health, I want you to think about embracing yourself as a woman first and foremost, because in today's society, we tend to not do that still. Even after all of this time, we still put ourselves quite often at the bottom of the heap in the family. Sometimes we come last, even below the dog and the cat. So number one tip is to start loving yourself and your womanly bits and get into your female side. Okay, that is the first thing I would say, and really start to respect and read. You know, I mean, I'm amazed when I got my period and all through high school and all that, they didn't teach us about the menstrual cycle. You know, remember what it was like when you got your period? It was just like, oh my God, what is this? Shit. You know, for a lot of people, I also do a therapy called NET, neuro-emotional technique. And sometimes the memories that are stuck in the subconscious are around when they got their period and their mum didn't know how to deal with it, or they didn't make a big deal out of it, or they did make a big deal out of it. So this body of ours is a phenomenal, I don't even like calling it a machine, but in some ways it is, because we are a self-regulating body. Okay, everything that your body does is doing its magic, because it's trying to maintain homeostasis in your body. It's always trying to bring you back into balance. It may not seem like that. If you've got PMT, if you've got endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, if you're infertile, if you have heavy bleeding that just bleeds through, okay, it's not much fun for anybody. And you know, if you've got those things, how annoying they can be. But we grew up in a society, didn't we, where we didn't love our menstrual cycle. I mean, personally for me, I learnt nothing about it. I thought it was a pain in the ass. I went on the pill when I was a teenager, and I used to skip my period every month for a while. And nobody told me that that was bad. Nobody told me that perhaps your body is trying to do something for a reason. I just thought it was a pain. So this endocrine system of ours involves certain glands in the body and parts of your brain. So it starts, you've got your hypothalamus gland, your pituitary, you might recognize some of these words, your thyroid glands, your adrenal glands, your ovaries, and your pancreas. And these glands all talk to each other consistently in this negative feedback loop, it's called. So we have these chemical messengers our brain picks up when levels are low, like of estrogen or progesterone or adrenaline or cortisol, and the brain adjusts itself and it sends messages from the pituitary, the hypothalamus, to the pituitary, to the adrenals and the endocrine glands. It's known as your HPA axis. So if I was you, I would start reading up about your female cycle and learn. There's so much to learn, and I am not the expert. I'm going to be quite honest here. Women's health isn't my expertise, but I certainly see enough of it in my clinic, and I am a woman and I like to read. So what are some of the things that I see in clinic when you have a disturbed endocrine system? Infertility issues, menstrual problems, weight fluctuations, depression, anxiety, insomnia, low libido, digestive issues, hair loss, and the list goes on. None of it is obviously much fun. What are the causes of endocrine disturbance? There's two main areas that I'm going to focus on talking about today. The first area is about your gut health. Now, I'm not going to rehash everything that Nat and I talked about in the gut health talk, because if you want to hear the gut health talk, either get in contact with one of us or whoever invited you onto this call, and we can share you that video, but I'm not going to talk too much about the nitty-gritties. We talked about leaky gut on the health talk, and if you don't know what that is, please go and Google it, because it is probably one of the biggest causes of so many diseases and ailments, including women's health issues. So leaky gut in the body can lead to inflammation in the body, and inflammation in the body leads to lots and lots and lots of issues. Now, one of the main things with gut health I'm going to talk about is candida. So if you have got thrush, if you've got anxiety and depression, if you've got skin issues, if you've got thyroid issues, if you've got skin rashes, so many things can be put down to candida. And you probably are aware of the word. But candida, a certain level of candida, which is a fungal overgrowth, it's a yeast, is normal in the gut, okay? Our gut is meant to be a microbiome. It's a huge combination of microbiology. But the issues occur when the candida goes up and it repopulates and populates and populates, and our beneficial bacteria goes down. So how does this occur? Why does candida overgrow so much in women's bodies sometimes? So one of the big reasons is stress, and I'm going to come back to that in a little while. Another big reason is food. Okay, so the foods that we put into our bodies can lead to candida overgrowth. What are those foods? High sugar foods, alcohol, high carbohydrate foods that break down quickly into simple sugars. So it's all the stuff that Nat talked about that she was eating when she was first, in her bathing suit. She talked about, which is like the white flours and the breads and the muffins and, the easy snack go-to food, the processed food. It converts to simple sugars in the body. High use of antibiotics, the oral contraceptive pill, prolonged use of corticosteroid drugs in the body, dairy, gluten. So in Chinese medicine, candida is known as damp heat, which I think is a pretty damn good explanation, because if you've ever had thrush, that's pretty much what it feels like. And look, I have had thrush before, and it is not much fun for anyone. It can make you feel incredibly unsexy at the worst of it all. And what it is, it's not actually stemming from your vagina, okay? It's stemming from your gut. And what can happen is when candida is overgrown in the gut, it can then go through and pass to the rest of your body. And that's known as candidiasis or systemic candida, okay? So we want to decrease those foods, obviously. And one way of treating candida is through starvation. We starve the candida of the foods that they like, which is the high sugar foods, and we hope to hell that the candida numbers start to depopulate. I'm going to be honest, I do not put anybody on the anti-candida diet. I learned it in naturopathic college 20 years ago. It's pretty much the same diet then as it was today. I do get people to alter their diet, but what I do find is the strict anti-candida diet is extremely stressful for the person to put into place, and stress can cause candida overgrowth. So for me personally, and look, you may have done the anti-candida diet and you might swear by it, but I'm here to try to provide, I guess, the information for the majority of women, okay? So how else can we get rid of candida? Number 2 is we can kill it. All right. How do we do that? You can use antimicrobial herbs and essential oils. So things like herbal medicine offers lots and lots of fantastic antimicrobials. Things such as olive leaf extract, garlic. So Nat spoke about it, eating lots of garlic through your diet every single day. Garlic is amazing. It's anti-everything, like antifungal, antibacterial, antiparasitic. It's pretty amazing. So eat it. Coconut oil, another whole food staple that should be in your diet every day. It contains caprylic acid, which can kill candida. So, having, a tablespoon in your beautiful super smoothie you have once a day, making bliss balls with, a couple, 3 or 4 tablespoons of coconut oil, drizzling it on your, chia seed pudding or whatever you're making, just getting those things into your diet every single day. Golden seal is another herb that's really good, grapefruit seed extract. And then we've got essential oils such as tea tree oil, lavender. We've got oregano oil, which is a fantastic antimicrobial. I'm not suggesting that you take them internally, even though some people do, but I would say you've got to do that under the guidance of a naturopathic physician or somebody who knows what they're doing. But you can use essential oils on the external tummy. You can put it on the soles of your feet through your reflex zones. I'll be really honest, when I had thrush, I Googled a thrush remedy, which was through a douche. using apple cider vinegar, water, 1 drop of tea tree oil, and I think that was all that was in it. And that was really pretty amazing, but you're not getting to the cause, okay? We want to get back to that gut and get the gut back into a state of health. Another way that we can kill candida in the body, apart from abstinence of those foods and starving it and killing it through antimicrobials, is through bioresonance therapy. So I know that, you know, there's quite a few bioresonance therapists around the world now. You can probably Google to see if there's one in your local area. When I found out what bioresonance did, the simple fact that it can cancel out the frequency of strains and stresses in the body, including things like candida, that's pretty much why I studied what I do now, because I was looking for a way to help clients in a much faster manner than I had been in the last 20 years, okay? I'm sorry, guys, I can't look at all the chat, but Nat's answering questions I can see, which is awesome. The third way of helping candida in the body is you need to balance your pH levels. So how do we do that? How do you even know what your pH levels are? So you can get saliva strips that you can test your pH. I personally in the clinic, I have urine pH strips, and you can just get them and you test your morning urine, the first urine after 5 a.m. So you want, the ideal really is that we want a neutral pH in the body. So this is your acidity alkalinity measurement. We want it to be around 7-ish. That's neutral. Anything lower than that is going into acidity, right down to like 5.5 is pretty acidic. So you've got to understand that microbes like candida, even parasites, bacteria, viruses, etc., they will only really live in an acidic system. So that's why we're always banging on, to be honest, about fruits and vegetables. Because how do you balance the pH levels in your body? You flood your body with alkalizing foods. Look, I'm going to be really honest with you. Everybody is looking for the magic bullet. It's the thing I constantly get asked in clinic, what can I do for this? What can I do for that? Tell me, tell me, tell me. And I'm sounding like a broken record, which is exactly why Nat and I do these talks, is because it actually can be really simple. Flood your body with whole food nutrition. Why? Because whole foods heal your whole body. Flood your body with plants. We know that the people that are healthiest on the planet, for example, all the studies and books that have been written about the centenarians, are around a plant-based diet with some good quality protein and beneficial fats. Also, the people that live the longest in the world know how to deal with stress, or to not deal with stress, because they don't have it. They lower it before it even sets in. Okay, so alkalize your body. We have a really great program called the Alkalife, which Nat has actually written. It's beautiful, but there's lots of programs online that you can just look at a chart, an acid and alkaline chart of foods, and you can just focus in on the alkalizing foods. That's where Juice Plus comes in, but I'm going to talk about that later. Number 4 for candida, probiotics, obviously. Why? Probiotics are going to go in, they're going to re-inoculate your bowel health, so bring the good bacteria back up while you're killing the bad, well, not the bad, I hate calling candida bad because it's got such a bad name, but while you're killing the yeasts, bringing their level down, probiotics up. You're going to choose a broad spectrum probiotic. So it needs to have lots of different strains in it. But I'll be honest, if you're really bad, then yes, probiotics initially, but ideally for the long run, ladies, it's about eating fermented foods. And look, there's no magic bullet where that's concerned either. For some of you, it might be kombucha. For some of you, it might be kefir. For some of you, it might be sauerkraut. It might be coconut yogurt. It's about playing with these foods and feeling and trusting what feels good in my body, and starting to trust yourself as women, as people. When you're holding a substance in front of you, a food or whatever it is that you're doing, tuning in with your amazing guiding light that we all have and going, is this actually beneficial for me? And tune into yourself, because we're always looking for an answer from an external source. And the greatest healer for you is you, honestly. Okay, so that is gut health. I'm just going to flick over the page. Let's talk about stress. Okay, I'm going to, so I can see everyone, hands up if you experience stress in your life currently. Let's be honest. Yeah, so everybody, and I can't see the people that are not on the screen, but let's be honest. Why is it that when my mum was young, I've talked to her about this. I was like, did all the women have issues with this and that? And she was like, no, not as far as I know. Now, hey, maybe they didn't talk about it like we are now. And I'm sure that generation suppressed a fair bit. But I tell you one thing I do know is in the last 20 years in clinic, I see more and more and more females coming in that are burnt out, that have adrenal exhaustion and are on the brink of a breakdown. Why? Because of stress, because of the fact that in today's society, I want you to think about now as a woman, how many hats do you put on a weekly basis? Mother, daughter, worker, whatever else you're doing in life. Okay, we're juggling. We're always juggling. And I think that's because in my mum's generation, their roles were very clearly defined. They looked after the children most of the time, right? My mum was a career woman, but a lot of the time that was their job and it was very clearly defined. Yes, I can't even imagine what it would have been like to have 7 to 8 children. For me, that's like ultimate stress. I've got one. That's enough. But nowadays as women, we really are trying to be sometimes like Wonder Woman, aren't we? And there's an amazing TED Talk. You'd probably know Brené Brown, and she did a TED Talk which is called The Art of Vulnerability. And it is just brilliant because she really sums it up in saying that as women today, we're just trying to have and do it all. And sometimes the balls drop, and the ball that most commonly drops first is our health and our mental capacity, right? So let's talk about this adrenal fatigue thing, this rushing women's syndrome that it's known as. When we put everybody else first in our lives, we have so much on our plates that we start to go down. So what happens in the body, you've probably heard, again, we're going back to this endocrine system. We're going to the hormone cortisol and adrenaline, which is about your adrenal glands. When we have long-term stress, our bodies continuously produce cortisol, which can then lead to huge hormonal imbalances with the other hormones in the body, the other steroid hormones. Did you know that almost every cell in the body has a receptor for cortisol, which I think is amazing because that just proves to you scientifically that when we are stressed and then we secrete cortisol, it can affect everything in the body, every cell of the body. Okay, so all these therapies that we hear about, the deep breathing and the yoga and the Tai Chi, it's not just to make you feel good, ladies. It's actually to physiologically change something in your body, right? And I think that that's amazing. So we need a symphony of hormones in the body, and I have to refer to my notes because the system is fairly complex. I hope I'm not overwhelming you with too much information, but let's talk about this. So your ovaries, they produce estrogen and progesterone. Your adrenal glands, which sit on top of your kidneys at the back here, they produce a range of hormones, but let's focus in on cortisol, the long-term stress hormone, testosterone, and DHEA. Now, this is very interesting. We only have limited amounts of steroid hormones in the body. And if you have consistently high stress, your body is going to prioritize producing cortisol, and it goes to the detriment. We don't produce as much progesterone and DHEA if our body is constantly in stress and it has to produce cortisol, cortisol, cortisol. It's like ordering the same thing on the menu every single night. And you know what? The body gets sick of it and you get sick of it. Okay? So when cortisol is high, you can suppress your thyroid hormones. Oh, weight gain, hot flushes, metabolism problems, hypothyroidism, all of that range of stuff, Hashimoto's. When you have high prolonged cortisol, you have insulin resistance. What does that look like? Inability to digest sugars, weight gain, mood swings, anxiety and depression. Sound familiar? When you have high cortisol, we have estrogen dominance, which you've probably heard about. Estrogen is high in the majority of kind of women and progesterone is low. But when we look at this cause, what does it come back to? There's multitudes of causes, but one of the big factors is stress. So, what can we do? Exactly what I just did. Deep breathing, okay? It is the simplest tool in the universe. It's free. You can do it right now. If you don't know how to deep breathe, and most of us don't, I'm going to be honest, because we breathe up here because we're rushing women. We're all day long. Put your hands on your belly right now, and I want you to concentrate on inhaling into your stomach. And then it's like blowing up a balloon. Allow the inhalation to come all the way up to your collarbones, and then exhale. Come on, every woman do it. Go. And then breathe it out. And feel all the tension draining down away from your body, okay? Deep breathing is the number one way to de-stress your body. It physiologically changes your nervous system, and it can help to reduce that high level of cortisol. What other things are going to help you to de-stress? Well, you know what? I can't actually tell you that because I'm not you. You need to look inside yourself and go and start to try these things. Try a yoga class. Try Tai Chi. Try walking on the beach. Try putting aside 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night of just being. Just stop for once and breathe and focus in on your breath. You could try Yoga Nidra, that's Nidra, half an hour of Yoga Nidra, and don't worry, it's not doing handstands, it's about lying down and getting guided through a visualization. Half an hour of Yoga Nidra is equivalent to 3 hours of sleep. Imagine what that does to your cortisol levels. Book in for your monthly, weekly, fortnightly, whatever you can afford, massage, aromatherapy, Reiki. What is it that you love? Do you even remember? Okay, think about that. What makes you relax as a woman, and start doing it? A bath. How many of you have got a bath but never get in it? Okay, it's the little things. Now, obviously, for the endocrine system and stress, we have, from naturopathic means, we have a lot of herbs. I'm not going to go into them today, and you can use essential oils to balance out your system as well. So let's talk about the daily routine, similar to what Nat did. I'm sorry if this is rehashing it. Wake up before the family wakes up. I know for some of you, you're like, oh my God, my child wakes up at 6 or 5:30. Just 10 minutes, even just setting the alarm. So before the craziness of the day starts, you've actually had 10 minutes all to yourself to get your system set for the day, get your thoughts in order, get your breathing, get your intention set for the day about how you want your day to actually be as a woman that day, okay? Water. Water is the carrier of every single message in the body. If you are dehydrated, it doesn't matter how much you take, eat, do, it's not going to get through your body. You have to drink filtered water every single day. There's no doubt about it, okay? Pretty simple. Deep breathing, we've covered that. Whole foods, Nat covered that beautifully. Plants, fermented foods, bone broth, good quality protein, and especially good high quality fats. Because what do your hormones need to produce themselves? Fats. Yes, they do. It's amazing. So start to hook into the avocados and the coconut oils and the beautiful Juice Plus Omegas, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Okay. Where am I at? Whole food concentrate. Let's talk about Juice Plus. So why, as a naturopath, am I 100% behind a product like Juice Plus? Because we are nutritionally deficient. Okay. When you look outside on the earth, you don't see trees that have multivitamins and minerals growing off them, do you? What we do have on the earth, what was put here for us to eat, is plants. And plants and what grows in the soil, the nutrition that's in the soil that gets through the plant, which gets into our human body, is the nutrition that our bodies need and that we understand and that we can use. So I want you to Google a nutrient mineral wheel chart, okay, when you get off the call. And I want you to see this circle with all these lines going everywhere, which shows you this amazing synergy and balance that happens in the human body. When we have too much calcium, it can throw out all these other things. When we have too much magnesium, it throws out all these other things. So why even gamble with that? I mean, honestly, as a naturopath, I did it for 18 years, trust me. But for the last 2 years, what I've done is only work with whole food concentrates. And what it does is it floods your body with bioavailable nutrition, and your body's intelligent cells and this amazing self-regulating mechanism that my body is, it can pick and choose what it needs from nature, and an amazing synergy occurs. So I urge you, if you're not already taking Juice Plus, why don't you just give it a go? Because it's pretty simple and it's made from plants and it boosts your levels every single day of the year. We're not saying it replaces plants, we're saying it boosts your intake. Okay, I hope I've put that really simply because I get asked that question a lot. The fats. Let's talk about the new Juice Plus Omega blend. I think it is absolutely phenomenal, a cutting edge Omega blend that has just hit the Australian and New Zealand shores. We are talking about omega 3, 5, 6, 7 and 9 essential fatty acids. If you don't know what they are, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it because I know I'm already going over time and you're probably sick of listening to my voice. So why do we need essential fatty acids? They're called essential because we have to intake them. We don't produce them in our body and we can only get them through food. But we don't eat nearly enough omega 3, 6 or 9 essential fatty acids in the right ratios to actually boost our health. So why not take it in an easy, convenient form? Juice Plus I love because it's skipped the fish. We've just gone straight to the marine algae and the rest of the omegas are from plants as well. So we don't have any problem with heavy metal contamination or sustainability issues. I think it's extremely clever and it's important for brain, skin, eyes, heart, nerve, hormones. So give it a go. Deep breathing, we've talked about. Relax time every day. This is a non-negotiable as women. When is your time, and I want you to think about it right now, when is your time going to be every single day that you can put 10 minutes to loving yourself? Think about it in your head. What time of the day is it? And make a strong, firm commitment to start loving your female self enough to have 10 minutes of doing what you love. Okay? And you say to your husband and you say to your kids, this is mummy time, or if you don't have kids, you just got a partner, this is me time, and you go and do it and you have it, okay? It's so important for you. And then book in tomorrow your beautiful rejuvenating session with your favourite healer. I mean, we're so lucky in Nelson, we've got Steph, who's the most magic hands lady out there. But who is it in your community that you know has got the goods and the skills to help you to feel amazing again, to feel like a woman again? Maybe it's a facial. We've got Tracy on the call who owns Urban Spa. Amazing at making me feel like a woman again. And start to love your loveliness, women. One last thing before we go, let's talk quickly about boobies because they're very important. And, you know, I'm going to get a bit teary because I treated a lady last week who had just had a double mastectomy. Sorry. And for a woman, it must be extremely challenging to go through that. I can't imagine it. My grandma died from breast cancer. She had a mastectomy as well. Sorry, guys, I really didn't mean to cry online. But what can we do for these beautiful boobies of ours? Number one, stop wearing antiperspirant deodorants because they actually block the lymphatic glands in your body and we need the lymph to move. Number two, start to skin brush every single day. Get your lymphatic system moving. Exercise every day, no matter what type it is, to move that lymphatic system. And number three, the best thing you can do for your boobs, and I know some of you are going to go, oh my God, as if, get rid of your underwire bras. Come on, honestly. in today's day and age, you must know about the health. If you've got big buzzies and you're like, Noreen, there's no way I can go without those, I'll be bouncing everywhere. Just make sure when you take off your underwire bra, get underneath your breast and start massaging around. You probably find it's quite sore. This is all through the lymphatic system. You have to get this moving every single day and start loving your boobies. Okay. Whew. Well, I think that was enough from me. Nat, do you want to add anything else, darling?
No, that's great, Noz. It's good information.
Okay, cool. So I haven't actually seen any of the chat, and I'm hoping that Nat's answered everything. Nat, is there anything else that we need to touch on through the chat?
Just know that if you have any of those symptoms, the process is really getting the underlying precursor removed. If you've got a yeast infection, it needs to be removed. First step is take Juice Plus. Second step is go to a bioresonance therapist, get it assessed and have it removed, and then just keep your daily method of operation as simple as possible. And please know that kombucha is not good for you if you have candida. Okay, if you've got a kombucha addiction, like so many people do, you're better off with sauerkraut and veggies. Much better. That's the only thing I wanted to add, Nors.
Awesome. So thumbs up if that was good for any of you ladies. We really like to have some feedback here. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to make a call, Nat, that our next talk is going to be about skin health. So we'll be on again. How many Tuesdays away, Nat? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do two or
Stop the recording, babe.
Hey? Yeah, I'll stop the recording.